To those that live in Italy, how is the situation right now with coronavirus and lockdown? I'm a final year medic and I'm graduating on Thursday over Skype. Can you update us how that will go through? Are you going to wear the graduation robe and stand in front of your webcam? Is the certificate scroll acceptance going to be symbolized by you pressing F or any other alphabetical key on the keyboard? Is the valedictorian still going to give speech through Skype? Edit. For all that think and say only Americans do this, I'm not American. I'm from Southeast Asia. That's how bachelor's graduation ceremony goes in here. Graduations in Italy work different to normal graduations. So normally how it's supposed to go is it's an exam in theory. Since you walk in after writing your thesis and present that to a panel of your professors. They then deliberate and you're given a score out of 8 or 9 depending on your unit and your average. To add up to a final total out of 110, and then you wear this wreath on your head, take photos with the family, and have your party etc. etc. The certificate itself comes from Rome I think and I have to collect it at a later date. What's different now is I pre-sent my thesis in my dorm room with no family members visiting with no celebration after. Not sure what a valedictorian is. Ah, I see. Valedictorian is a student who graduates with the highest GPA or highest scores on all their exams and thesis. They have to give speech during graduation ceremony. Huh, nice, gives merit to working hard throughout. Yay, we don't have that here at least. I live in the heart of the Lombardy region. All my family has it and my granduncle died. People just stay home and that's it. There is not much to do and shops are closed. You can hear ambulances all day and night. My uncle is in the hospital with a high fever. His wife got it as well, but she is home as her symptoms are milder. My cousin is taking care of her, and miraculously she is fine. However, her grandpa died and she couldn't even go to visit him. Her grandma is sick as well and she can't see her either, and she can't see her dad. Hospitals are closed. The available hospital beds in intensive care have run out, and doctors are making tough choices for who to try to save, which is terrifying, considering most of my family is old and they might not get a bed. Doctors are overworked and tired, and since I know many people that work in the hospital, they are sharing with me these gruesome pics of people recovered in the intensive care unit. They are intubated and it just is a sad view. Hospitals are so full of people on life support because of coronavirus, people are amassed on the corridors because they lack rooms. My friend who gets people with the ambulance is working non-stop to get people who are in critical conditions. People keep saying it's just a flu. Yes, sure, but a flu without having had a vaccine can be quite dangerous. The youngest person I know that has it, he's in his 40s and has had 40 degrees Celsius temperature for 2 weeks straight and counting. Don't catch it, it's really not fun even if your immune system is strong. Trust me on this, I have seen the repercussion on my family firsthand. No church is open or public event is held. Since Italy is primarily populated by old people, we are used to see the streets being empty and everything being quiet. Right now is just quieter. They couldn't even hold the funeral for her grandpa. My grandma woke up sick and I truly hope she has something else. So many people in my city have it, and yet they keep going around the city and spreading it. Incredible. Some people go to the supermarket and get out of it with tons of food so that they don't need to go shopping again. Others, like my grandma, go every day because how else is she going to get fresh bread? Luckily we have convinced her that she cannot go anymore, and she said from tomorrow she won't leave the house. Just this Sunday she had to go to church to confess. The town priest has been taken to the hospital today because he caught coronavirus and he is in critical conditions. I wonder how this death count will go up now that the hospitals are overfilled. Rumor has it that my cousin's grandma got it because she was in the hospital being treated because she broke her back, but I can't be sure about this, so this is just our personal speculation based on no real evidence, so don't take my word for it. Edit. First cases of people younger than 25 in life support. I am so sad for your loss and hope that you and your family can stay safe and well. Let's hope that all of this is as temporary as it can be. I know it won't make a difference, but I'll be lighting a candle for your granduncle, your uncle, his wife and her grandpa, and just pray that everyone who battles this will be okay. Hang in there. Again, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. All I hope really is that my mom, dad, brother and grandma are safe. We're all thinking of you and hoping for the best. And I really appreciate it. It's amazing how kind and empathetic Reddit strangers are. Blessings to all of you and be prepared. Right now I'm in my office in Tuscany, 20 miles away from my home. This morning at 7 a.m. we hadn't any problem moving around, but I don't know how things will evolve outside my workplace. There are a lot of different information about what you can and what you can do from all the media, so I'm here hoping to not getting sick and still be capable at least to move to home tonight and maybe come back to work in the next days. Some say life goes on like always, others say everything is compromised. I'm just here, waiting for things to develop. I have friends in northern Italy quarantined in their homes, my mum in hospital working with face masks, and generally people freaking out. They say grocery shopping will be guaranteed, so overall I'm not even worried about it. Maybe is the chance to have some days off and enjoy my home and some games. Unrequested update. Is 6 p.m. While working we got a document to show to police officers if we get stopped while going from a commune, something like US municipalities, to another. In this document we declare who we are and why we aren't in our home. You can move by car, bike or whatever if you have to meet your family, older people who need care, children and so on, or go to work. Every other reason is forbidden. Right now you still can go around the commune where you live without almost any problem. You only have to keep distance from people around you. Traffic is quite low compared to last week for example, but people still do their things. A lot of non-fundamental services are closed, but you can still go to a pharmacy, hospital, gas stations and big workplaces like industries. Social life is paused, almost everything else is still active in my life. We never locked down in Seoul, Korea. I think because every COVID-19 related workers doing their job greatly. We live daily life as usual, mostly. The evident difference is that the companies, some industries are under serious stressful circumstances in financial. Due to everything has postponed or cancelled or manufacturing delay. Lots of supplies were supposed to import from China. Some major corporations were ordered their employees to work from their home for a few weeks as precaution. During that period, there were no traffic in the city. It was weird. Working from home is something a lot of workers are already doing, but there are also so many people who need to be in the workplace to do things, especially in my field, oil industry. England is close to a lockdown. They're considering shutting down schools. People are panic buying everything from hand sanitizer to toilet paper. We're running out of paracetamol. We have a 3-month supply before we run out. Travel is down. People are scared to travel and are cancelling holidays. The only people really traveling are the people going to work abroad, like living in England and working in France. We have a helpline for people to call if they are scared they have the virus. Even doctors are calling. Case numbers are rising quickly. People are panicked, but most Brits carry on as usual, just with more hand sanitizer. The panic buying is ridiculous. People hoarding amounts they'll take years to get through, leaving nothing for people who just want to do normal shopping. Yeah, and what's the thing with toilet papers? I don't get it. Is major toilet paper manufacturers located in China also? I am a doctor who works at one of the largest hospitals in Rome. The situation seems much worse than reported in the news. We are scared, but we continue to go to work for a sense of responsibility by turning. We do not have suitable safeguards for our protection, such as FFP3 masks. US Doc here. How are you guys responding to non-COVID problems? If so many resources are being allocated to this virus, I have to wonder if you guys are seeing a spike in mortality from things that are usually easily treated, i.e. cholecystitis, appendicitis, etc. Are you trying to do more temporizing measures such as IV antibiotics and percutaneous drainage tubes, rather than doing full surgeries at this point in time? Only emergency treatment is guaranteed. I know for certain that in northern Italy entire hospitals have been completely dedicated to the COVID emergency, but in Rome we are not yet in this situation. Right now we are simply postponing what is able to be postponed. Italy is most likely a few days, possibly a week ahead of other nations in its infection rates. So it is still most likely worse there than other places. I fully expect other countries to soon be in the same sort of boat, though. Switzerland went from 1 to 100 in a week, and in about 4 days is now up to 375. This is representative of the growth factor that we saw in Italy. Obviously, the population is smaller, but so far it seems to be a few days behind Italy in terms of infection rates. Fundamentally though, the problem is that many places simply aren't engaging in lots of testing. We know this disease is highly contagious. We know that it has an incubation period of around 5 days. If we look at Spain, for example, it went from 100 infect to 1,000 infected in a week. This is the same rate, roughly, as in Italy, between the 23rd and 29th of February. In other words, Spain is about 10 days behind Italy. I would expect Spain, by the 20th of March, to be sitting roughly where Italy is today, i.e. somewhere between 9k-10k infected. Things are probably worse in Italy than elsewhere, but it's a question of days until shit hits the fan elsewhere. More than this problem will not be as bad in other countries. I basically live in the epicenter of the outbreak of coronavirus here in Italy. Things are difficult for me because I am far from my parents, like 1 hour drive. They are in their 70s, and I am stuck because I don't want to go home since I am scared I could possibly infect them, but at the same time I want to help them with groceries and stuff. I am currently working from home and going out only once a week to do grocery shopping. To move between different towns we need a documented testing that we are either going home, work or it's an emergency. The hardest part is hearing the daily update of the number of deaths and sick people every day. We are told that hospitals cannot accept people anymore. All the hospitals here in the Lombardy region are saturated. Nurses and doctors are falling sick too. If you need to go to an emergency room, even if it is not for the coronavirus, they cannot help you and this feeling is devastating. Moreover, there are no masks around. It's impossible to find them, and hospitals are finishing them too. Waking up every day to this is hard, but I'm still hopeful that this thing will end soon. High school student here. Schools are simply closed, and the TV is full of ads about washing your hands and avoid contact with other people. Edit. I forgot to say that each morning we have approximately 3 hours of video lessons from our laptop. Sounds fucking lit. Edit. Tie for all the upvotes. I have to say that, for me, it's more stressing to have online lessons. I don't know, I might just be me, but I find it more difficult to follow the video conference rather than an old school class. Hey, in a positive light, you'll appreciate real school more. I'm a university student, and since last week we have been doing lessons via Microsoft Teams or Google Classrooms. I don't really like these methods, but it's the only alternative, so there's a fair amount of psychosis between a big chunk of the population. Supermarkets have been raided overnight. We are advised to not leave our houses unless it's necessary, but you can fill a form on your own to certify that you need to go to work, so basically everyone is running around without a real examination of that form, because literally anyone can do that. The only thing that has been really impacted by this is nightlife and sports, since every league of every sport is suspended until April. Edit. Typos. In Hong Kong right now we're using a program called Zoom. We got hoarders here. I'm a student who lives in Emilia-Romagna. Schools have been closed for 3 weeks, there is no one hanging out, everyone is cooped up in their houses. NGL, this looks like a post-apocalyptic scenario. People are starting to have relatives with the virus. My aunt, for example, has the virus. In every town there are a few infected. We can't move from a town to another unless we have a specific permission. For example, we can if we have to go to work. Every day we use Google Meet to make online video calls with our teachers and classmates, so we keep studying and doing our programs, even if we are closed in our houses. Many people are terrified, while many are chilling way too much, especially in the southern regions, because the virus has just started spreading there, while here in the northern regions, there are already thousands of infected. Sorry for my bad English, I hope this comment answered your questions. Your English is great. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope this all ends for you soon as we brace here in America for the same scenario to happen here. I have a daughter living in Serrano, but she works in Milano. She is housebound, on lockdown. Her courses are being done via Skype. Her employer has asked her not to come to work. She is not allowed to leave her house unless it is an emergency, which I hope never happens. She says there has been quite a bit of panic buying at the supermarkets. All the restaurants are pretty much empty, however they are allowed to be open between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. People who are seated should have at least a 1 meter distance between them at restaurants. Tourist areas, e.g. Duomo in Milano, are devoid of almost anybody. All school and universities remain closed. All sporting or any kind of events have been suspended. Ski resorts are closed. The same for cinemas, theaters, discos, all church services have been suspended. Whilst the measures may seem extreme, Italy has been the hardest hit worldwide besides for China, so it's necessary to curb travel and cultural activities to stop the spread of the virus. Are there reasons why restaurants are shut outside of 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.? It's to prevent people who ignore the lockdown and go out in the evenings from gathering at bars and restaurants. Is she still being paid? Or is she now not working and has no income? She is paid hourly, only when she works. Her work was in the afternoons and early evenings, so she is not getting paid at the moment. She is a part-time student, so the work for her was just a way to make extra money. Damn, luckily she doesn't really need it I guess, but I can't imagine what it's like for any families that missing a week's pay ruins them. Would love to hear from someone who isn't a student and just a regular person living paycheck to paycheck. Not Italian but French. Here people who are under quarantine or need to care for people under quarantine can apply for a special leave of 14 days. The social security system will then be in charge of covering their salary for the length of the quarantine period. Maybe they will put into place a similar system in Italy. There will likely be a baby boom in 9 months. Efficient virus. Kill the old, spawn the new young. And this is how conspiracy starts. It was Chinese government releasing the virus. They have to get rid of all the old and sick people because of their one-child policy they had before. Now they do not have economy power, working people, to pay them pension. I have a feeling that if China wants all the old people dead, they would just kill all the old people like any other authoritarian communist regime. Not without being severely frowned upon by the international community. I live in Verona. I'm a 19 years old living alone because my mother and my father took it in Milan, and for the first time I'm home alone for a month. Pretty nice though. I play GTA 5 with my friends like the old days, doing some indoor workout and experimenting with cooking. I'm becoming a good chef. The school is quite annoying, but it's okay. I wake up at 7:30, and at 8 a.m., I start a 5 hours straight in front of my laptop for online lessons, and then I go cooking my lunch. I don't go out if not to buy some food and maybe some cigarettes, because the situation it's not good. There is no space left in the intensive therapy, so if I get really sick, they would have to remove someone to save me, since I would have better chance of surviving. This is why I almost never go out, once a week. I don't want to be the reason for someone death. Okay, I wrote cocking twice, stop memeing at me, I'm Italian, okay? Quick, edit the word cocking before it's memed. I've seen cook confused with cock a few times in Italy. My favorite is on menus where small cocked vegetables are listed. I'm Italian but live abroad. Currently my brother is in one of the high-risk zone in the north. He works at the university as a researcher. Today he went to work and the laboratory was empty. Starting from tomorrow the unit told him to stay at home and that the structure will be temporarily closed. He was planning an exchange with a laboratory in Ireland for April, but I think it's cancelled. He's worried of course and a bit bored too, but he understands that the situation is critical and that we have to give our contribution to avoid the spreading. My cousin is in Bologna where the situation is surreal. According to him, no one is on the streets, and the supermarket got assaulted multiple times from people concerning that they would have run out of food, which is not going to happen, since supplies are guaranteed. My parents live in a small city in the south, where only 4 cases were registered in the entire region so far, so they are not much concerned, but they are taking precautions if the situation will get worse, and they are trying to stay at home when possible. Luckily their jobs are not at risk because my mother works in public administration, and my father can work on remote. I live in Germany instead. Yesterday I went to a pharmacy and I could get a couple of face masks just in case. The ladies there understood from my accent I wasn't German, so they asked me where I was coming from. As soon as I said I was Italian, they jumped away. I felt like I needed to specify I was living here and had no contact with Italy since December. That felt bad. Well, now you know what it's like to be Asian. People just freaking out when they see someone Asian. You are right, personally I have never acted racist towards Asians when the spreading started, but many Italians did it. There was a viral video showing a guy from Philippines in a supermarket getting punched by an Italian who was convinced he was Chinese. I think we deserve this after all. Hope Italians will learn the lesson. Edit. Since some people misunderstood my words, I'm editing this for a clarification. I never meant that Italians deserve to be infected. What I wanted to point out with the sentence above is that I believe that if you acted in a racist way towards Asians, you can't complain now when all Europe treats you the same way you were treating Asians. South Italy here. I'm waiting for the virus to spread as in northern Italy, if not worse. A lot of idiots rushed south to their mommy after the government declared the region of Lombardy a red zone, and here the people seems to not understand the situation. Yesterday morning there were a lot of people strolling around not caring about what's happening. Yesterday night the Prime Minister declared all Italy red zone, and a lot of people rushed to 24/7 stores to buy food. I decided to stay at home for at least a week, but my parents and the parents of my friends are going around the city like it's not their problem. There will be another infection peak here in the southern Italy in a few days. I agree, and when it happens we're screwed. We, at least here in Campania, just don't have the infrastructure to cope with something of the magnitude of what's happening in Lombardy. As an asthmatic, I'm crapping myself. I've been locked in my house with my 2 sisters and my mother for 2 weeks, and I still have a month ahead of me. Please send help. Edit. To be clear, I was joking, I'm perfectly fine, the situation is not that bad. We can go out to buy groceries or to work. The big problems are that some people are losing their jobs and how the economy will be affected, now and in the aftermath. I'm returning back to my place after I kept my GF company yesterday. Thing is, her parents work and I'm scared AF that somehow I got it, and it's just waiting to show symptoms. The paranoia will only increase in the next few weeks. This is still not the worst moment. Also, I will never thank enough all the people working in the medical field RN, they are the true heroes. I hope when things are over we'll invest more in public health and be more conscious about safety standards. Edit. Since it was not clear in the comment. I do not have symptoms. I was not in contact with anyone that had symptoms. I was just at my GF's place and became paranoid since both her parents work, and my mind started thinking. What if they have it, but without symptoms, and you caught it without symptoms, and next week you and your family will be in ICU? I'm known the family is the most rational person, but when the situation is like this, a bit of paranoia is inevitable, especially if you know the risks. On the other extreme we have idiots that keep doing parties in their basements despite the lockdown. FML. I'm a nurse student in Italy. Right now I can't go to the university. I can't go to work. We shouldn't go out unless it's a necessity. So basically we need to stay home and finally finish our Netflix list. It may sound pretty cool for the first few days, but after a while it gets pretty depressing and boring. I got so bored that I cleaned everything at home. Sounds familiar to me. I'm in China and I've been stuck in my apartment for nearly 2 months. I can get food delivered and go to the convenience store to buy other things, but nearly everything is closed other than supermarkets and pharmacies. It was, as you said, pretty cool for the first few days. Now it's just terrible, although it is slowly getting better again. I hope things get better for you and the rest of Italy soon, but I'm afraid this is probably just the beginning. How are people with no money surviving? What about people whose lives depend on daily wages? Is the government providing free food? In Singapore your employer gets paid 100 Singapore dollar a day if you're quarantined, which will then roll down to you if necessary. The 14-day quarantine will also not count as part of your annual leave or sick leave. In Europe you continue getting paid when you're sick. That depends on where you work. For me, I get nothing from my work if I'm off sick. I only get the legal minimum from the government, which over 1 month is less than 1/4 of my monthly working income. I'd be fucked if I couldn't go to work. Basic Italian uni student with bad English here. Basically in the past we used to cough to cover up a fart. Nowadays we fart to cover up a cough. Brilliant. Stealthy. Say it in Italian too. Prima passavamo per nascondere le scoreggi, ora scorreggiamo per nascondere la tos. We have a hashtag running on Twitter, hashtag io sto a casa. It basically means I stay home. People only travel alone and maintain a 1 meter safe distance. We have to change life habits drastically for 2 weeks to keep the virus from spreading. It worked in Wuhan, we hope it works here as well. Go to tell that to the thousands who returned to their families in the south as soon as the country was quarantined. So is the lockdown lasting 2 weeks? Is that the length of the incubation period for the virus? Is it 2 weeks that you have to stay inside, or is the government just guessing with how long they will be enforcing this? It's all provisional of course, we have to see for how long it will spread, and if the measures work. Then we will know if it's just 2 weeks or it will last longer. It's day-by-day decisions.
Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Tell me what you dislike or love about this video, so please comment below and hit the bell icon so you're notified anytime a new video is released. This is a WeCrow Media production.